You don't have to be thrill-seeking to be thrilled. You don't have to be thrill-seeking to be thrilled. Ugh, a word. Sometimes I'm thinking out loud and I'm just like, ooh, that's a phrase. Okay, let's share it with the people. But yeah, I was just like kind of posting on TikTok about life, and then that quote emerged and I was like, you know what? Let me make a full podcast episode. Okay, let me lock in real quick for the people. So what I mean by that is I feel like so many people, and I said this in the video too, but so many people will wait or schedule times that they expect to be happy or joyful, right? So meaning, 5 days a week you go to work, or 7 days a week you go to work, whatever your schedule is, right? And then maybe it's the weekend that you expect to have fun, or it's when you make plans with your friends, or when you go out for dinner, or when you're spending money, or when you're buying things, or it's you work 10, 11 and a half months out of the year. I don't know where you live, right? But if you live in America, you work 12 months out of the year. And then it's like that 1 week of vacation that you get, that 2 weeks of vacation that you get where you can leave the country or just leave the state or just escape your day-to-day life in some way. You schedule that and you know that, okay, that's when I'll be happy, right? So then the majority chunk of your day, though, looking at what I just said, the majority chunk of your day that happens all of the time is not the thing that you expect to derive pleasure from, right? So the 5 days of the week where you're at work, you don't expect to be happy during that time, right? Even after work, you expect to just be recovering from work, okay? But then when it comes to the weekend, now it's like, okay, now I'm allowed to be happy. But then Sunday, I get the Sunday scaries. I'm just expecting to be dreading work, or I have to do laundry, I have to do this, or I have to do that. So it's like, if I put it on the calendar to do certain activities, then during those activities, I can expect to smile and be joyful and derive pleasure. But the rest of the time, there's not an expectation of it. And I'm not saying like, oh, set your expectations super high from the everyday. But what I'm saying is, and same thing with the mention of how like, okay, most of the time throughout the year you're working and then you will go on vacation. And during vacation, that's when you expect to be like at peak pleasure, right? You go to that all-inclusive in the Dominican Republic and it's like, yes, this is where I'm at my prime. This is the peak of the year and that's what you expect. But then it kind of sidelines every other month in your life, right? It kind of relegates everything else to just be in waiting. So the whole week, you're just living for the weekend. I mean, that's a phrase, right? You're living for the weekend. So you're just waiting for the weekend so you can live your life. And that's where you will expect to derive and seek pleasure and joy and satisfaction and fulfillment or whatever it is, right? And it's almost like, it's just sad to me because I feel like since you are ascribing, the peak moments to very small fractions of your overall life, what about the rest of your life? Like, what about the rest of it? And the truth is, there is so much to be enjoyed and relished in the mundane. There's so much that happens in the mundane that's actually truly wonderful and enjoyable. And because we're not thinking about it, because it happens all the time, we take that for granted, right? And then we say, okay, well, when the good peaks happen, that's when I can be happy. And then it's like, okay, well, you could actually be happy all the time if you derived pleasure and fulfillment from the things you do all the time. And I know not everybody is doing the job of their dreams or in the career of their dreams, and I know not everybody's in the best position, right? So I'm not minimizing that. But what I'm saying is there are aspects of the day-to-day that are just objectively wonderful or enjoyable. And when you hold space for not even like putting an expectation of yourself that like, I need to enjoy my work week just as much as I enjoy the weekend and making it a pressure thing, but just being open to receiving, happiness during the work week as well, during the months in the year where you're not on vacation, assuming you're lucky enough to even be able to afford vacation or be given vacation time. Just basically priming yourself to seek and derive pleasure in the things you do day to day that happen often, right? Because then it's like, okay, I don't only have to be happy on the weekend, and I don't only have to be happy on the weekend assuming I have special plans or I'm spending money in some way or something in particular is happening that doesn't happen all the time. No, it's like, what about the things that do happen all the time that are good? Can we savor those a bit more? And so, for example, right, the reason that even kind of sparked this discussion for me, or this thread of thought, right, is because today I had a lovely day. It was my older sister's birthday. We didn't get to spend it with her, but I know she had a wonderful day, so I got to call her later in the day. I had meetings throughout the day, but I had like this really big kind of cool presentation at work, and it's allowing me to kind of drive forward a project. And I'm someone that I enjoy communicating my thoughts. I enjoy articulating ideas of literally any kind. Like, I love being able to like sink my teeth into understanding a concept, even and especially if it's a very technical concept. And I love being able to then communicate that well to other people so that, you know, the thought or the idea becomes accessible. And I think that's really central to the role I play right now at work is I work for an enterprise software tech business, and the struggle, right, is that when you're trying to communicate brand narrative and do marketing initiatives and do any kind of communication, it's like, okay, well, how many people in the business can even talk technically about the business who aren't so technical that the layman couldn't understand them? You know what I mean? Because people that are really in the weeds and in the details of something technically sometimes don't really know how to simplify it for the average person, right? And then the people that aren't technical can, you know, get away with doing their jobs really, really well without actually understanding, you know, the technical aspect of the business. But especially from a sales perspective, if you're trying to drive revenue, which is always the goal, right? At least within a business, that's going to be one of the primary goals in order for the business to exist. You need to be able to communicate your value to the world at large and to your target audience. And in order to do that, you need to be able to simplify. And so I get to really enjoy like sinking my teeth into like, okay, what it is that we do technically and how can that be communicated in layman terms. And that's not what my presentation was about today in particular, but in the process of giving that presentation, it was just another opportunity for me to practice, you know, the skill set of articulating an idea or a concept or something that we're working on and, you know, condensing it to something that's high level, but also helps the person be able to provide their own input, right? Because you're always trying to frame something. And then when it's a group discussion, especially, or a discussion where you're particularly seeking guidance, it's very important to like frame conversations in the right way and communicate the work you've done so far so that they can quickly get on the same page and then jump in with their pushback, their feedback, their ideas, their questions, and kind of expand your thinking as well. And so opportunities like that are always fun for me. And exactly, like that's the whole point of this like episode is like, exactly, opportunities like that are exciting for me. And I get opportunities like that literally on like a daily basis, if not like an every other day basis. Like that's the crux of what I do a lot of the time. I mean, I do like literally a million other things, but because I get to do that often as part of my job, that means I don't have to wait for the weekend where, you know, or something like what happened last night, right? Which is so interesting that I'm making this episode about a day that went so wonderfully for me on a day where I just went to work and took a fantastic nap, which we'll get into later. Because yesterday I had a much more thrilling evening where my sister hosted this kickback with her friends, and we just hung out by the pool and we swam and we ate. And my sister's such an amazing host, so she made sure that all of this food was prepared and drinks and everything. And so the vibes were just really fun and immaculate and, you know, just fun, right? But that's way more thrilling and also something that like doesn't happen that often for me, right? Like my social calendar, and I'm going to be more, you know, intentional about it this year, but historically while in Nigeria, my social calendar is pretty, you know, tame because I'm just focused on work. And this year I definitely want to kind of marry the two because I think they go hand in hand ultimately. But yeah, something like that is not something I've done in a really, really long time, if ever. Like really, actually not if ever, but like I think it's been years since I've really hosted people by the pool. Definitely since I've entered the pool with friends that I've invited over. And even though that was super fun for me, that wasn't what made me want to say, oh, I had an amazing day, which I did have an amazing day, but it's because I don't only derive pleasure from the days that are like that. Because if I did, I would be sad all the time because those days don't happen that often. But what I did today, where I gave a presentation, I got to articulate something and I got feedback on it, that's something that's happened multiple times this week already. And today it happened in, you know, a more official capacity or whatever, or with more kind of senior people in the room. But it made me excited because I am primed to try to enjoy as much as possible every moment of my life, not just the pool party kickbacks with friends, you know, where people are turned and loose and we're having fun and we're laughing and we're enjoying each other's company. I enjoy people's company even at work, and I enjoy the work itself. And work is work. And I know people say, oh, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And that's true to some extent, but sometimes work is just work, right? But at the same time, like, look at the two attitudes, right? Saying work is just work and it's always going to be miserable to some degree. Yeah, you're probably going to be miserable to some degree all the time because that's what you believe. And so you're always going to be finding the moments of work that, irritate you the most, or, the tedium of sending emails or trying to keep organized, or staying on top of like all of these different deliverables and prioritizing it. Anything that you find, frustrating about the job, those are the things you'll highlight more because you expect your job to be miserable. But when you say, and this is even like, okay, even if you don't do what you love and so you'll never work a day in your life, even if you're not there yet, right? There are aspects of your work that you can find joy in. And even if you don't like the work itself, I think doing your best at something, no matter what it is, will always give you something that will leave you with a sense of pride. And that sense of pride can be the source of joy, even if the work itself is not the source of joy. Because when you put your best into something and then you can say, okay, I take my hands off of the outcome. God's got the rest. The universe has the rest. I'm just going to let everything, the chips land where they may. Knowing you put your best into your work, and it gives you a lot of peace of mind, right? Because you don't have to look back in retrospect if you ever had negative outcomes and be like, oh, I should have approached it this way, and I regret not thinking about it this way, and I feel like I didn't put my all into this, and you feel some level of responsibility. You have no responsibility after that. If you did your best, no matter what happens after that, you did your best with what you had, the tools and resources at your disposal at the time, and you did your best with what you could at the time. Meaning that wherever the chips may fall down the line, you can never go back and kick yourself. What are you kicking yourself about? There's literally nothing more you could have done. And so even if the act of what you were doing while doing everything you could do wasn't fun necessarily, and your job's not your favorite, the fact that you put your all into it means that there's no I don't know, buyer's regret is not the right word, but it's like there's no hindsight is 2020. Like, obviously hindsight is 2020, but there's no responsibility upon you to feel bad for anything. And I'm not telling you to feel bad generally, right? I always think that you leave the past in the past. If things happen the way they did, they happen the way they did. And maybe and to be clear, right, your best doesn't mean perfection, because I don't want to conflate those two things. And I especially think sometimes, or not sometimes, I feel like the kinds of people that would listen to this podcast on some level are ambitious people, and not ambitious necessarily in the sense of, oh, chasing success, chasing money, chasing fame, but even just ambitious in the sense that I know you hold yourself to a high standard and you hold your expectations around your life to a high standard, and you want your life to be fulfilling and whole in some way. And that is an ambitious point of view, in my opinion, right? You're not ready to settle for mediocrity or settle for an average life. I think that's why you're here. That's what I have identified my audience to be. That's what I'm deciding for you guys, right? And so if you're someone that thinks that way, I definitely don't want you to think that doing your best means you have to be perfect all the time, because that's not the case. Because doing your best sometimes is just like, okay, I got out of bed today, good for me. I brushed my teeth today, good for me. I took a shower today, good for me. Or, I did that thing I'd been dreading, good for me. Or I fed myself today, good for me. Sometimes you have to take the little wins. Or I allowed myself to rest today. Or, you know what, I lasted another day. I'll try again tomorrow. Like, as simple as that. Sometimes that is your best. And I'm not telling you to then regret those times either, if for whatever reason you're going through a darker period, or you're struggling with something that causes, pushing yourself more than the foundational things, because they're not so simple. That's why you're struggling to do them, right? But pushing yourself beyond the foundational things, if that's difficult for you right now, that doesn't mean you're not doing your best, because you're still here. So your best was done, because you live to fight another day, basically. But all I'm saying is, I think it's really wonderful to derive pleasure just from putting your best foot forward in any situation with whatever you have in you for that day, the resources at hand, your capacity at hand, mentally, physically at that time. And there is a sense of pleasure in doing something right and doing something well, even if you don't care for the thing that you're doing. And ultimately, this goes back to like the purpose of this episode, which is to say that look for those moments in your day that are wonderful. So like I said, right, the presentation was good, and I was telling you kind of more, and this is more like an insight into me and my interests, I guess. But that went well, and so that made my day good. And then the other thing that went well was just I had a wonderful nap, because I knew I needed to catch up on sleep, because I said there was that kickback thing last night. and I knew I needed to catch up on sleep. And I was saying in the video I recorded too before I made this episode on TikTok, that in that video I was like, yeah, like there's something about sleeping in a bed that's not your bed and having a fire sleep. Like I love when, for whatever reason, I take a nap in like my parents' bed, or today, for today's example, I took a nap in my sister's bed, and in her room, there's like less space to cool, and her AC is just way more effective. So her room gets really cold, but it's also good because like her bed sheets, she has an extra layer from me. So I have like my sheets and my duvet. She has her sheets, like a fuzzy, really, thicker blanket, and then a duvet. So her bed is so warm. And I know there are people out there that love the balance of like a crisp freezing room and a super warm bed. And maybe it's because my bed is never quite warm enough for me. I don't have that extra layer usually. And I just run cold as a human being. Like I can't live that way with like AC blasting. But I see the appeal, okay? So when I sleep in her room, I 100% see the appeal because her bed is so warm and then like the outside is so cold, and it's just like the perfect crisp balance. But look at the way I'm romanticizing that nap. It was a nap. At the end of the day, my day was wonderful today because of several things, but the two highlights were my presentation went well and I took a fire nap. But to me, it's like I spent a whole, 16 minutes here, 5 minutes on TikTok or whatever, talking about how wonderfully joyful and why those things elicit a response out of me. Because it's good. Like I don't nap as much as I used to, but it's like a nap is something that you can take, regularly. It's not a special activity. It doesn't cost any money. And yet it can be so delightful, especially when it sneaks up on you and you're lying there. I'm just hanging out with my sister. And then I realize that I'm sleepy. And next thing you know, you're just asleep. And then next thing you know, it's been hours. And that's when the nap hits. Like, because I'm like a chronic, a nap is not a nap to me. A nap is really just sleep. But it was like one of those naps where it was like, I woke up and it was night. And I was like, oh my God, I feel refreshed. I feel incredible. Like that is so joyful to me. That is so wonderful. Or I'll give you other examples of things that kind of made my day today. I am like historically horrendous texter. I like my phone to just stay bone dry at this point, because then I don't have to feel bad about the fact that I'm not good at being responsive. And so people have learned their lesson about me that love me in life, that just to know, I'm not reachable. But that's okay. That doesn't mean that I don't love you. It's just it has nothing to do with that, honestly. But that's a whole separate issue. But I've been trying to get better about that this year, and keeping up with people and talking to people, and just using my phone for what it was intended for, which is communication, because I literally use it like it's a mini iPad. It's purely for entertainment purposes, and all notifications, aside from obviously work-related ones, I really have to fight myself to use the phone for its purpose of being a phone. But today I did a good job. I had conversations on text with a couple people, and I was like, look at me. Look at me, responsive queen. And the conversations were interesting and compelling for me. And so it's I was proud of myself for that too. And it was enjoyable getting to connect with people. And obviously it's not the same as connecting in person. And I'm just an in-person person too. So when it comes to oh my God, well, how is it that you live and you don't use your phone? Well, catch me outside. You know what I'm saying? Let me see you. Okay. That's how that works. But yeah, it's even something as simple as that. And it's I know other people text way more than me, right? And it doesn't cause you so much headache to just answer somebody on time or answer somebody at all. So it's deriving pleasure just from texting your friends, texting people that use memes when they text because they're so fun and, clever, and getting to just giggle at your phone because your friend, no matter where they are on this earth, you can connect with them. That is such a privilege that we have living in the current generation that we do. And the fact that you're listening to this podcast, I'm assuming you have access to Wi-Fi, right? So you have access to that privilege too. And what a wonderful thing to really soak up that even if your friend doesn't live in the same city, state, continent as you, they live across oceans, they live thousands of miles away, they are a phone call away, they're a text away, and you can still enjoy their humor, and you can still connect, and you can still talk about interesting topics and hear what makes them tick, and enjoy the way their mind works. What a privilege. And that's something that you can enjoy literally on a daily basis for people that text more than I do, right? And that's not something that you have to get excited about because it happens once a year, or something that only happens 2 days out of the 7-day week. That's something that can happen all the time, and that's wonderful. Or even enjoying the feeling of having a crush on somebody. Maybe you have a crush on somebody. I remember when I was a kid, and crushes were literally so fun because it was just something to occupy the mind, and getting to fantasize or romanticize what might or might not happen. And I think the best part is like not even having actual data to like negate any of your very positive ideas, but you know, just getting excited about little things like that can happen all the time. Or another example I gave is like earlier this week, I think I had ice cream for breakfast and I was like, ugh, what a treat. I went through a phase. I used to be literally addicted to ice cream in high school because anything my mom did not allow us to eat regularly, I was obsessed with. So I had a really bad like sugar problem out of like spite and rebellion in a weird way. So anyways, it's a lot better now that I've like grown up and like I do have access to just do those, like eat whatever I want. And now I don't have to like obsessively pursue the things that are gate kept from me. But anyways, yeah, I went through a phase in high school where I literally ate like ice cream sandwiches for breakfast every single day for like a month. What a treat. But yeah, I had ice cream for breakfast this week and I was like, what a joy. What a joy. Something as simple as that. Is that healthy? No. Is it a good habit to have? No. I'm not a nutritionist, okay? This isn't called the nutritionist podcast with Abby or with Live Lumani or whatever, okay? This is called Thinking Out Loud, and I'm sorry, that was my experience. I'm talking about it. But yeah, I had my ice cream. It was yummy. It was fun. Like, even, like, just looking forward to breakfast. I remember as a kid, like, genuinely, if I had good leftovers in the fridge or, like, knew that my breakfast was going to hit the next day, I would be thrilled to go to bed and wake up. Like, ain't that something to look forward to? And breakfast should be, ideally, a daily thing. Or my mom's, like, morning routine, I really love it. Like, I'm not going to like spell out her entire morning routine, but part of her morning routine is like a big, yummy cup of coffee. And there's stuff that comes out after, there's stuff that happens after that, but I won't talk about it because let me not expose my mom's whole day or whatever, right? But what a beautiful part of her day to just sit down and enjoy her cup of coffee. And she knows she's going to do it and she does it every day. And, you know, sometimes she switches between caffeinated, non-caffeinated, whatever, but just the experience of knowing you're going to savor a nice cup of something that you enjoy. And you don't have to be a coffee drinker. Maybe it's hot water with some lemon, cold water with some lemon, a cold glass of water at all. Because that first, you know, sip of cold water always hits as well. I was allergic to water for most of my life. So when I finally did drink water, my body was so thrilled. But I know that hits too. Or if it's tea or if it's matcha or whatever it is. Or maybe like you do go out and buy your coffee or make it at home or whatever it is, right? But it's just something about your day that you can savor and you can enjoy. And I think we rush past those things because there's so much to get done, especially if you are in the States and you're just running the rat race. But I think it's nice, even if you have to rush something, to enjoy the process of getting to do it. Something I also really enjoy, just like getting ready in the morning in general at all. So whether I'm going out, not going out, working from home, not working from home, gonna be seen, not gonna be seen, I like to know that I have lip gloss on. I like to know it. I like the process of putting my lip liner on. And frankly, I'm someone that like my lip combo like is always foolproof. So I put it on, gloss will be glossing the entire day. But the formula of glosses I've gotten lately hasn't been the best. So they kind of fade because they're low-key like lip balms, like catfishing as lip glosses sometimes. And on the one hand, I could be annoyed and be like, ugh, it's so annoying that now like I feel the need to like reapply lip gloss or whatever. But I enjoy putting on lip gloss. So like low key, it's like, yeah, before my lips would stay perfect all night long, all day long, whatever it was. And I'd never do touch-ups for my makeup, generally speaking. But it's like, it's kind of fun to wipe off my entire combo and just do it again for shits and giggles because it doesn't look perfect. Because I like putting lip liner on. I like starting my day by putting lip liner on. I love it. I love washing my face. I love putting on some lotion and putting on some blush. Okay. I love drawing on a couple freckles. Okay. I love a little bit of mascara. I just love it. I just love the little things. And I've given so many examples in this episode that it's funny because I don't know, long or not long, good or bad. I don't know. They're going to be the length that they're going to be. I don't know. Ultimately, yeah, I've given so many examples in this episode of just like little simple things that I think are so wonderful. Or like, for example, I wear my natural hair now so I can like get water in my hair every single day, like twice a day, and I love it. I love hot water touching my scalp, like what a joy, like, or hot shower, everything. The little simple aspects of my day give me so much pleasure. You would think that my social calendar was packed. You would think that like I live a life of complete ease, that I don't work. You would think that I am on vacation every single day because that's how happy I genuinely feel. I feel like I'm at an all-inclusive in the DR. Like, because when I'm at an all-inclusive in the DR, I just feel like I'm a better person for it. When I'm at an all-inclusive resort on a beach, I know, I used to think, I'm like, that's my peak. Put me in a bikini all day, every day. That's my peak, okay? Get me a little tipsy and let me like spin around in the sand, put my toes in the sand, get the waves splashing, do my beat in the morning, get dinner, get lunch, all of that. That's my peak. That's what I used to think, right? I am completely sober now. Phone, it's either bone dry, or if the people are messaging me, they wish they weren't, because you're not hearing from me. And then like social calendar, empty. Work constantly. I work on weekends too. Like I literally work 7 days a week. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And then I try to sleep early. Sometimes I fail. Like it's literally 2:48, but I took a long nap today. Sometimes I fail. I've tried to like switch from like not using my phone at night. So like after I finish recording this episode, I'm probably going to read my book. So I've been rereading this book I read as a kid, which frankly, this book was not kid appropriate. And the scene that I read as a kid that was like low-key traumatizing that I showed all my friends, I'm not even going to talk about it because it's so bad. But if you've read the book Cain and Abel by Jeffrey Archer, then you know the scene at the beginning that I'm talking about. That's just like, oh, that's super graphic. I read that book at like 11 or something. No, not even. I think I was like 9 or 10 when I read this book. Anyways, I'm rereading it as an adult, which is such a slay because generally speaking, I don't remember media. So like I get to enjoy it as many times as I want, because if I give it even 5 seconds, I've forgotten it already. It's like, let's run it back. So when I finish this episode, I'm going to read my book with my little like night light and then go to sleep when I'm feeling too tired to keep turning the pages. And these are all things I can do every single day. Work, I can do every day. Putting my foot into the work, I can do every day. Like driving it, like putting my best out there, I can do every day. Like putting my lip liner and lip gloss and mascara on every day, I can do every day. Putting on a little outfit, I can do every day. Taking a hot shower, getting my hair wet now that I wear it natural and I don't braid it. Freaking taking my meds. Reminder, take your meds, people. Reading my book in the evening, like making my podcast episode because a thought popped into my head and I wanted to share it with you all. Like building community, chatting with people, like putting stuff on my social calendar, trying to exercise more. Like I'm going to have a gym buddy soon. Like these are all great, wonderful things. And these aren't things I have to wait for, because I don't think life is something that you should wait to be happy. I think find a way to inject joy into literally everything. I don't care how stupid or little it is. I don't care how mundane people describe it as. The mundane is so thrilling. Why are we even calling it that? So yes, you don't need to be thrill-seeking to be thrilled about your fucking life. You don't need to be thrill-seeking to be thrilled about the things that happen to you day to day, because no matter what situation you're in, I feel like, and I've talked about this concept before, but like when you're sitting alone in your room and you feel sad, you are sitting alone in your room. So let's start there, right? You are sitting alone in your room, you feel sad. Those two things are not connected, right? The thing in between those two activities of sitting alone in your room, nothing's happening, and you feeling sad, the thing in between is your thoughts. So you are framing how you feel in that moment. And instead of being joyful around the things that could be positive around the fact that you're sitting alone in your room. So even if the things that are making you sad that you're thinking about are true and happening and real, right? The reality is that they're not happening right now. You are thinking about them right now, and that's why they feel like they're happening right now. Maybe they happened in the past. You're regretting something. You're feeling humiliated about something. You're anxious about the future, or you're going through a situation. But if you're sitting alone in your room doing nothing right now, I can promise you thinking about it and making yourself feel sad is also not like addressing the current issue in that moment. So if there's nothing for you to do actionably in that moment, then you don't have a problem in that moment. Yes, you have a problem, but no, you don't. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not trying to be insensitive, but what I'm trying to say, and Eckhart Tolle puts this way more gently than I am right now. But what I'm saying is like, a problem in the present moment would be like, okay, you're driving down the road, you see a pedestrian randomly walking in the street, and you need to, in that moment, decide to swerve so you don't hit the pedestrian. That's a problem, because in that moment, the problem is happening. You need to take action. Or even if you are struggling because you have a financial issue coming up, or you have a deadline coming up, or you're behind on something, or you're struggling with school or whatever. You're either addressing the issue with action in the moment, or you're not. And if you're not, you don't currently in that moment have a problem. You thinking about it is creating the problem that you're sad because you're thinking about it. But if you're not taking action towards addressing the thing, and obviously if you're thinking productively about how to solve the problem, that's a separate issue. right? That's great, because then that is action. Thinking is action, planning is action, and figuring out what your game plan is, that's action. But worrying about something is not action. So then you're just kind of ruining a moment that you could be enjoying, because frankly, whether you worry in that moment or smile in that moment is not making your problem go away. And you're not planning a way to fix the problem, and you're not actively fixing the problem. So why think about it, or why worry about it, or why ruin the moment about it? So going back to the thought pattern we were going through before, right? You're sitting alone in your room and you feel sad. The thing in between is what you're thinking about. You could be thinking about how, okay, I've had a long day. I finally get a moment to myself to just think. Or I'm sitting in my room. What do I want to do? Do I want to scroll on TikTok and giggle at a few things? Do I want to look at memes? Do I want to read a book? Do I want to pull out a pen and paper and sketch and doodle? Do I want to turn on a camera, turn on my voice memos and like audio journal to myself, video journal to myself, actually journal in your phone, journal in your notes app, journal in a book with a paper and pen? I don't do that because my hands cramp too easily. Journal in it, like just express. Do I want to do that? Do I want to play games with people? Do I want to play chess on my iPhone app? I should probably do that actually again. That's kind of fun. Or checkers. Do I want to play games on my phone? You got games on your phone? Like, how do I want to fill the space? Do I want to play the guitar? Do I want to go for a little walk? Do I want to pace around my room? Because I like to walk, but I prefer pacing. I find it relaxing. And then it's temperature controlled. Like, I don't want to go outside. I don't like bugs. But yeah, it's like, what do I want to do? Do I want to stretch? Do I want to do some breathing? Do I want to do nothing? Do I want to lie here? Do I want to take a nap? Do I want to enjoy the process of falling asleep? Like, I saw this TikTok about someone like saying how they love feeling sleepy. And people were in the comments saying, yeah, it's like getting high without substances, right? Like the process of falling asleep, that yummy in between feeling of feeling sleepy before the sleep really hits. As someone who just sleeps when she's tired, it was funny to see how people savor that. But I do know the feeling they're talking about, like when you're kind of in between loopy and sleepy and stuff. But yeah, and I'm just like, yeah, even doing nothing, lying in your bed right now, that is thrilling. There are people, your day is over, right? At least you're not working. If you were mad earlier about working, at least you're not doing that. I remember when I was in high school, if I was studying, to kind of help myself feel, because I enjoy studying or whatever, because I like learning, but it's like to kind of put things into perspective for me. If I had to really grind academically, I would tell myself, like, at least I'm not running like 200s right now. Like, at least I'm not doing like a sprint interval workout with my coach with like 1 second breaks, and like at least I'm not running a 400 right now. Like, at least I'm not running a 4x4 relay right now. Like, I would put it in perspective with like really hard athletic activities that would stress me. And then it's like, yeah, at least that's not happening, because those moments would just be just so rough, right? And that was someone who loved athletics, but oh my God, track and field is really a labor of labor, okay? Labor of love, labor of labor, okay? So even if you've had the worst day ever, if you're sitting alone in your room, why reflect on why the day was terrible? The day is over. You can at least relish in the fact that, like, well, don't have to do that again. Or like, not in that exact way if it was particularly horrible for some reason. Honestly, I could have named this podcast something else, like life is about perspective. I don't know. Life is about perspective. Life is about perspective. And I feel like every episode we come back to that kind of like resonating theme, which I'm sure themes will evolve throughout this podcast as it continues to grow and stuff. But this is just always on my mind. Like, perspective is always on my mind, because I feel like it is the crux of everything. Like, the angle at which you look at something changes everything. I remember I wrote this for a end of year assignment thing, like a final basically at Harvard, and for this one class. And basically the final was supposed to be this really long paper, but I got it adjusted to where I like did this art piece, and I wrote a like artist statement on my art piece and submitted that instead. And like teachers like loved it, right? And basically I wrote about this thing called the endless lake. And I'm gonna like zero in on like a particular metaphor that was written about with this endless lake artist statement, and maybe one day you'll see an art show of mine, and then you'll see the piece itself and read the full paper. But basically, to zero in on one of the metaphors that I think is really like relevant to this particular conversation, I was talking about how if we live in a world that is this endless lake, right, or this endless ocean, and all of us are just in our little boats trying to get by, okay, and I'm in a boat and you're in a boat, and in between our boats is a shark, okay? And maybe we're not like, yeah, we're both aware that it's a shark. But for me, I don't see the face of the shark. I only see the tail of the shark, right? And the tail of the shark is really powerful. It's going back and forth. I don't know anything about fish. I think it's going back and forth in such a way where it propels my boat forward, because we're both facing the same direction. So let's say I'm facing north, you're also facing north, and the shark's tails are facing me while I'm facing north as well. And then the shark's face is facing you. So the shark's face is south. I'm not great with direction. Hopefully you followed that better than I would have if I had to listen to that description. But basically, right, the tail of this shark is propelling my boat forward, and I want to move forward. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, thanks, shark. Like, sharks are so wonderful. Like, why would anyone be afraid of a shark, right? But the shark is swimming away from me towards you. It's facing you. And in doing so, it's propelling my boat forward. But in doing so, it's also swimming towards you with its jaws like ready to snap, and it's swimming towards you. And to you, you're looking at the shark like, oh my God, like, oh my God, the shark is about to eat me. Okay, right? So then it's like, you're afraid of the shark. I'm benefiting from the shark. Okay. And our two completely different perspectives make us approach the world differently. But without any empathy, I would just say like, okay, well, the shark benefits me, so like, sucks to be you, right? Which is wrong. And SA talked about that and how it's important, right, that then we collaborate and figure out what we're going to do so that the shark isn't, bad for you, right? But why I'm bringing it up in this conversation is that perspective is everything, because ultimately the shark is the shark, but my view and your view are completely different. And that makes our experiences different. And there's someone at a high level that can look down on this entire situation and because they have that high level visibility, they can try to figure out what the best solution is, which is probably for the shark to swim away from both of us, right? So then, we'll find other ways to paddle our boats, but we also, like, none of us will be in danger of death. But ultimately, I'm not so much saying like, okay, who has the leg up or the leg down here or whatever it is. I'm more so just highlighting the fact that, like, perspective is everything. And with perspective, we can also just adjust the way we operate in this life. So for example, even with the shark example specifically here, which we're reworking for this conversation, if you know that on the other side of a shark, on the other side of a problem, this is actually, what a bridge. On the other side of a shark that looks like a huge issue, because right now you're facing its jaws, it's looking like it's going to chomp your face off, okay, and you're afraid. On the other side of that shark, on the other side of that exact issue, if you're able to get past that, and get past it and survive it and go through the difficulty of dealing with the anxiety of the situation and figuring out a way to escape. If you're able to, sidestep this shark's jaws and get to the other side and join me on the other side where you're also by the tail, right? And let's assume the shark's not smart enough to turn around so that it can eat both of our asses up. Okay. But you get past the obstacle. Okay. Oh, I read a good book about that. Anyways, let me not get distracted, but I can't remember the book title. I mentioned it here. But anyways, you get past the obstacle of this shark and you make it to the other side. And now you are also on the side of the tail. Then what you'll find is that the exact same shark that was like ruining your life is the exact same shark that's now propelling you forward. The exact same shark that was standing in your way, that was preventing you from having forward momentum in life. Because again, you were trying to go north, the shark is facing south, it's facing you and is biting at you. And so obviously you can't go north because it's going to eat you. But if you find a way to get past that and to still go north, because forward for you is north in this case, and you get past that and you are behind the shark, that same shark that was going to kill you, that you beat, you slayed the dragon, you slayed the shark. Well, don't slay it, right? Because you still need it. But you got over it. And now that same shark, its tail is what's propelling your boat even further forward, right? But without the shark, the whole time, you would have just had to paddle. Paddle with your, I don't know how boats work. I don't know. It's like that boat stick thing. You would have had to paddle by yourself. It would have been much more slow. Maybe you would have decided not to paddle at all, right? Because you have nothing to run away from. You have nothing to learn. Pressure makes diamonds. You have nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to experience there, right? But because you faced adversity and you overcame, you were then, boom, like pushed forward by that same adversity. And life is the same way. So even the things in your day-to-day life, and this is going back to the idea around like, okay, even if you hate your job, right, there is still a sense of pride that can cause pleasure when you put your best foot forward and try your best, no matter where you are in life. Because the truth is, even though you hate your job, it could be teaching you skills that you don't even think about that will propel you in the next stage of life as you continue to navigate this world and your ultimate career, or if you decide that you don't want to work, however your life ends up, whatever your ideal, most fulfilling end game situation would be. Your ability to overcome adversity, and not only that, but like find joy in doing your best. Because you could have also just approached that shark situation totally different and said, well, I'm just going to go south and let the shark make me smaller and go in the wrong direction. No, you said, I'm going to push through. I'm going to do my best to get out of this. And you did. And now you're on the other side of it being propelled by the shark's tails. It's the same thing, but perspective is what you need in order to overcome. Because if you say that I don't care to seek joy in the mundane, I don't care to look for the silver lining, I don't care to do that thing, my life is miserable, I hate my job, there's nothing good that comes out of my day, there's nothing good that comes out of even the day ending, there's nothing good about my life, I can't find a single thing to be grateful for. It's more of the same, more of the same, more of the same. Because just like you're sitting in a room and you're feeling sad issue, at the end of the day, your thoughts are driving that. Your mind is the framework that drives your experience in this world. And your mind is the framework that drives that experience because your mind provides the perspective. So you don't have to be thrill-seeking to be thrilled. So find a way to be thrilled by everything if you can. Make it a project. Just try it. Maybe you completely disagree with me. But just for fun, why don't we try it my way? Right? Because you've tried it your way. Right? You've tried it your way, and maybe your way doesn't give you so much happiness, or not as much happiness as it could, right? So even if you're like, ugh, this bitch is delusional, she does this go on and on and on and on about the importance of joy and blah, 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 and it's all meaningless, and I don't agree with a single word she says. And look, I wouldn't fault you for that because I don't know what you're going through. And I know for a fact there was a time in my life where things definitely felt that way. As much as I was genuinely like fundamentally a positive and optimistic person and I seemed happy all the time when around other people, I knew that in my heart of hearts that like nothing was sweet. Okay, ain't shit was sweet. Okay, what did they say? Ain't shit sweet. Yeah, ain't shit sweet. Okay, nothing was good. But at the same time, the reality is depression, part of what makes it so debilitating is that it tells you that all of the things that would actually make you feel better are too hard and impossible and not worth doing. And it's a shame because the very simple things that are being avoided are also the same stepping stones that will get you back to feeling good. And that's why your mind, the disease will try to trick you into not doing those things. Things as simple as taking care of yourself, taking care of your hygiene, putting yourself together, putting on real clothes, making your bed, keeping your spaces tidy, brushing your teeth, going for a walk, moving your body in any way, stretching, talking to other people, not self-isolating. Those are simple things. They sound simple. I don't like to ever use the word simple. Those are foundational things to life that make life good that we don't really think about. But when you're depressed, those things can be super, super difficult. But unfortunately, they're also the cure. As much as they say, take the pills, take this, take whatever, the cure is also just living your life, doing those things, those foundational things, because they do make you feel better, even if your depression is like begging you to avoid it. So all I'm saying is, as much as you can, even if you don't have the depression or whatever it is, right? As much as you can, even if you think, Abby is just a ditzy, manic pixie dream girl who is like high on life all the time and she's too optimistic and I don't believe all this cockamamie crap she's always talking about. She's always trying to get me to have a good attitude when she doesn't know what I'm going through. My life is way harder than hers and that's why she's able to be happy, which, look, again, not invalidating literally a single word of that. But humor me. You've listened this far. Humor me. Why not? It'll be a fun little experiment for the both of us. Just try it my way for a day. Start the day and try it my way for a day and look for the thrill. Put the thrill in everything. Put on the podcast. Put on the joyful playlist. Turn off the fucking sad ass music. Okay? Put water in your hair. Take a nice hot shower. Pamper yourself. Put on some perfume. You know what I do? I don't have a great sense of smell. Sometimes I'll put my perfume on my fingers and dab it under my nose so that I can enjoy the fact that I smell good, because you're nose blind to your own scent as well, but I just also don't have a sense of smell. Look for the little things that can add joy to your life. Have ice cream for breakfast. Stretch your body a little bit. I hate stretching, but go for a walk and watch TikToks. And that way it's like, yeah, I'm doom scrolling, but at least I'm getting my steps in. So skinny. Yes. Right? Try it my way for a day. Really, any of the advice that I ever give, try it my way for a day, even if you don't believe a word that I'm saying, and just see what happens. Because maybe I'm right. I don't know. I've been told before. I tell myself all the time, I'm never wrong. I'm never wrong. But maybe you disagree. So try it my way and see what you think. And let me know. Okay, let me know how it goes for you. But anyways, another doozy. Thank you so much for being here and spending the time with me. And I hope the message landed and we got to somewhere, conclusive. My name is Abi Muda. Welcome to Live Lumani. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, thank you for being here and making it all the way to the end. I'm always so proud when people make it to the end. It's so exciting, right? If you've enjoyed the podcast so far and you want to rate it 5 stars, go ahead and rate it 5 stars. And if you want to rate it anything less than 5 stars, then leave me alone. No, LOL. Because I'm going to skew the results. Why would you rate it if you don't like it? Meanie. And don't forget to hit follow, turn on that little bell button so that you get notifications when I post. Podcast episodes go live every Wednesday and Sunday. I have a huge backlog of them. So frankly, I don't know when this will come out at this point. I have so many already scheduled. But yeah, podcasts come out every Wednesday and Sunday morning time if you are in the West, in the US, and then the afternoon if you're in Nigeria, Europe, and whatever, and more in the evening if you're in Australia. But I post at 1 p.m. West African time, which is basically 6 a.m. Central time. So, wonderful. You can clock in on your commute to work if you were in the States and enjoy from wherever else in the world you might be listening. But yeah, thank you for being a part of my community. I really hope I see you again. This is a long episode, so maybe you won't feel the need to binge other episodes, but the other ones are a bit more bite-sized. So if you're looking to just enjoy a few different ideas, you can listen to them in one big fell swoop, which I know people enjoy doing. Leave a comment down below if you have any ideas for yourself to add to the conversation. This is not an echo chamber, right? So I want to hear from you guys. You can also message me privately on livelumani.com/connect. In the description box, there's a beacons link that has all of my links. It has access to mental health resources globally, hotlines for any kind of, pressing issues mentally. You can also find links to all of my other social medias. If you want to sign up to get Live Lumani letters delivered straight to your email inbox whenever they are written, you can also click Live Lumani letters. It is hosted through Substack, but you don't need to have a Substack account in order to receive the letters. But if you want to see my other Substack posts, you can just follow me on Substack as well. But yeah, thank you for being here. I don't really have any more words. These outros don't need to be a million years long. I mean, how much is there to say, really? But I love you guys, and I will see you next time. Mwah.